Yay, it's amazing. I did this right the first time. Yay, woohoo. Okay, today, guys, I'm going to do things up just a little bit differently. I had a 3D project that I wanted to do today. I wanted to feature my April iStampin' box just because I wasn't sure if I was going to do it because of the retirement list and everything like that. So it looks like everything is good to go with the Dragonfly Dreams bundle. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this card. Now, this is just an idea of the type of cards that you get when you subscribe to the iStampin' box. So if you're not familiar with it, my iStampin' box, it's a subscription kit. You do it month to month. It's not like you have to sign up for X amount of months. But you receive a box, and I have it packaged up all cute, and it has all of the products that you will need to make 6 projects. It has your stamp set along with your framelit dies and things like that. So everything's all included. And the price varies. I will have all the information listed in a blog post later today. But I made this card to send to my subscribers that subscribe to the March box just so that they can get, this is kind of like a little sneak peek. So this is a fun card that I made. I did some watercoloring, and I'm going to do that today and show you how I did this. But I wanted to give y'all a few testimonials. These are feedback that I've gotten doing my iStampin' box. So April will be the 3rd month. And this is just some of the subscribers, and it makes me feel good that they are appreciating it because I really enjoy putting the boxes together. And one person said, "Dear Kara, the box arrived today. I could tell it was wrapped with love. The card was another clue. I liked the wood grain tissue paper as it reminded me of your videos." So what I do is I always include a little sneak peek of the next month in there. And then another person said, "I have watched card 1 and I'm very pleased with the card." So what I do is I also include, you will receive access to my iStampin' box online classroom. So it has PDFs and videos of everything that you need. So it's you have access to that always. And then another person said, "Dear Kara, my box arrived today. You have such a flair for decorating the insides. I had fun opening all the different packages." And then finally one person said, "Hello, Kara. I'm still smiling at the attention to details you displayed creating the presentation of the contents." So that really makes me happy. And what I'm going to do just because with the retirement list coming out, there's a little sense of urgency. I'm going to put out a little added bonus that if you subscribe to the iStampin' box for April by next Monday, which would be the 16th, I think it is, you will get all of the paper consumables to make this project. So you're actually going to be getting 8 cards, and I'll do a much more professional video so that you can see it clear, because on iStampin' Live, on this Facebook Live, it can be a little grainy. So anyway, as an added bonus, if you subscribe to the box by next Monday, you'll get all the consumables to make this one as well. All right, so let's get started. The first thing that you're going to do is go ahead and get out Dragonfly Dreams and the Thinlits. And if you already have this, then what you would do is just choose a similar product of the same value. All right, so we're going to be using this Dragonfly, and so you can go ahead and I've already done this for us, but go ahead and take this over to your Big Shot and cut this out. You're going to cut this out in Whisper White. So I've done that here. And what I like to do is to use my precision base plate and our die brush. So after you cut this out, just grab your Big Shot die brush. It looks like this if you haven't seen it before. And then what I do, so when I put this on the Big Shot, I use my precision base plate. I run it through a few times, and then I remove the Thinlit, and then I just use this brush, and then I very gently just run this over the metal thinlet, and that pops out all the little bits and things like that. And so it comes out really nicely like that. The next thing that you're going to do is to grab a piece of a Dapper Denim cardstock. This measures 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score this at 4 1/4. Good morning, Tammy. Hey, Emily. Thank you for joining me this morning. Oh, and always, if y'all have any questions or comments about anything that you're seeing me do, just type the comment down below, and then if I'm looking at my iPad, I'll answer the question. If not, I'll look through all the comments before we sign off, and I can answer them then. Okay, so we are going to score this at 4 1/4. This is just going to be a regular A2 size card. And so let's use our bone folder to burnish our score mark. And our card is going to be landscape. The next thing you're going to do is to grab a piece of our watercolor paper. And this measures just 1/4 inch smaller. So this measures 4 by 5 1/4. Oh, you love the Dragonfly die? I know, isn't it pretty, Diana? And we're going to be adhering this onto the card base, but first we're going to be doing some watercoloring. And this is the easiest way I found to do it. If y'all know of a better way, you can do it that way, or you can let me know. But what I've done here on the sample, and I love this type of technique because each card turns out differently, which I think is so fun. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently trace out the dragonfly. I'm just using a pencil, and this is just going to kind of give me a guideline of where I'm going to do my watercoloring. So I want the wings to hang off just a little, and I'm just going to lightly trace just around. It doesn't have to be, you know, correct or anything like that. And if I get pencil on my die like I just did, I'll just take my eraser and gently get all those pencil marks off. So that looks about right. And actually, you know what? I'm going to flip this. Let me do this. I have my dragonfly over just a little too far. I don't want it to hang off the card that much. Okay, rewind. So as I'm doing this, so what do y'all think of the retirement list? Are y'all just like, what in the world? How are they retiring all that much stuff? Is there going to be anything in the new annual catalog? Well, I will definitely say yes. Y'all are going to love the new annual catalog. It's crazy, crazy. I say it every year. Okay, so let's try this again. All right, so just gently, just take your pencil. And like I said, it can be messy. All right, so let me very gently get all of my pencil marks off. I could have been a little bit slower on that, but I just didn't want y'all to sit there. Okay. All righty. Okay, so what you're going to do next is grab your aqua painter, and I'm using these 4 colors. So you're going to want to get Dapper Denim and Soft Sky, Cajun Craze, Calypso Coral, and Crushed Curry. And you'll also want to get a paper towel. So if you want to put your watercolor paper on the paper towel and then just have one handy to wipe off the ink. So I'm going to start off with Calypso Coral and Cajun Craze. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pool of ink on the top of our lid. If you have the re-inkers, you can do it that way, but this is just another way where I like to squeeze the bottom and the top together gently. and that creates a pool of ink on the top of the lid like that. So I'm going to do that here. Okay, let me move this kind of so you can see that. And so I've got my aqua painter, and if you are not familiar with this, this is just a watercolor brush. So the top of the brush opens and this barrel is empty, and you just fill this up just with tap water. It doesn't have to be anything special. And then the way you get the water flowing is you just squeeze the barrel, and then the water starts, the water comes out of the brush. So what you want to do is you always want to make sure that your brush tip is clean. Even though you can see mine is stained, there isn't any paint on there. So I'm going to start with the darkest color, and what I like to do is just to squeeze some water into the paint or into the ink, and then just rub my brush through that. If I want it to be a little bit lighter, you can squeeze more water in there. You can control the intensity of the ink. And then I'm just kind of coming in and just very randomly putting color in. I am not a trained artist by any means. I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but I just thought it kind of looked fun to me. So I'm just putting color in here. And you can go back and make this a little bit brighter, darker if you want. Our watercolor paper is really nice if you've never used it before. I will say, I've tried some of the watercolor paper that you can get at your local craft stores. And then the way as I'm talking, the way I'm getting the ink off is I'm just squeezing the barrel and getting that water to flow clear. So anyway, as I was saying, I've tried some other watercolor papers from our local craft stores. They're not as nice. Our watercolor paper is really, really nice. It's thick, and I love the texture. It kind of has that orange peel texture, and it's just really, really nice. Okay, so this is Calypso Coral, and I want this to be a little bit darker. So I'm just wiping off the lid, and I'm going to squeeze a little bit more ink in here. That's a little too light for me. There we go. So I wiped off all the ink off just because it was wet. I don't know if it would do anything to the stamp pad, but I just didn't want to take my chance. So I wiped it off, and I'm just kind of starting again. And we'll come over here. And I go outside the lines, as you can see here, and that doesn't bother me. So if you like to stay in the lines, you can be a lot neater about this. I guess I'm kind of a messier painter. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do Crushed Curry. We'll get that one next if I can. There we go. Let's see if I can close my ink pad. All right. And with the iStampin' box, so what happens is everything comes to me. So all of the supplies, I place the order for you. It all comes to me, and then like I said, I package it up super cute. I have the best time putting it all together. I don't know about y'all, if y'all get any kind of subscription boxes in the mail, or if you've had in the past. Just how fun is it to get those boxes, and they're just wrapped cute with fun tissue paper and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I do. And I always put in a sneak peek for the next month. And, like I said, reading those testimonials, so far my subscribers have really loved it. And I think it's good value. All right, so let's do Dapper Denim. And we're just going to kind of come in here and just add some color. Put it over here. You can kind of go over some of the other colors. Put that over here. I know it doesn't look like much. Y'all are probably going, that looks ugly, Kara. But it really does turn out pretty. Okay, and I really didn't leave any room for soft sky, so this one won't have any soft sky on there, so we'll just leave that. So then what you're going to want to do is to let this dry. You can either let it dry, you know, naturally, just with with the outside air, just leave it to whatever I'm trying to say, air dry. You can zap it with your heat tool. I found that that it just doesn't, I mean, if you're you know, in a pinch and need something fast, definitely do that. I do feel that when you let it dry naturally, that the quality of the watercolor looks a little bit nicer. So I've already done that. I did this, let's see, I did this probably about 10 o'clock. So this was, you know, about almost an hour and a half ago. And so it dried really quickly. And then what I did is I just took my eraser and I just gently just went through and just erased all those pencil marks. I still have some right here. So you can see just how pretty when you start mixing all those colors, what it looks like. So that you would just let it dry. And so then this is what it's going to look like once you put the dragonfly on. Hopefully I've been saying dragonfly and not butterfly. So isn't that pretty? I just love that. And so how you're going to attach that is with your glue dots. And what I like to do is I just put glue dots just in the center of the dragonfly. So I'm using my paper piercer to grab the glue dots, and I just put them right here in the center, which just allows the wings to be free, to be able to pop off the. Oh, you know what? Before I put this on, I want to do something else first. Okay, so you just see here that you just put the glue dots right there. But we're going to do a little bit more texturizing. I'm really not sure if you're going to be able to see this on camera, but can you see those little specks? Is that showing up? Let's see here. I kind of may have a, can you see those? What I did is I flicked this with the paintbrush. I'm not sure. Well, like I said, if you subscribe to the box, you'll have a higher quality video, so you'll see this a lot better. But what I did is I just took a paintbrush, and when we used to have I think we called it like a spritzer, this would be the perfect thing to have, but we don't carry that anymore. So I just went looking around my kids' playroom and found this paintbrush, and I am going to flick some colors on here. And here's my other paper towel. Depending on your paintbrush, this can get a little messy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some Calypso Coral, and let's see. And then what I like to do is I just take my finger and just flick it on there. Like that. Hopefully y'all can see that. And I'm kind of doing it on an angle where, or on a on an angle where it's starting from the lower right and going up to the top left. And let's see, I need to get a little bit more water in here. Now, I don't know if you could do that with the aqua painter. I guess I've never tried that. Ooh, yikes. I didn't clean my brush off, so now I've got, let's try this again. My ink got all muddy. Okay. Whoops. Get a little bit more ink in here. Oh, you can see them? Okay, good, Tammy. Sometimes I'm not quite sure the quality from my iPhone. I know it's not as good as my video camera. Okay. Okay, now let's try this again. Oops. Okay, so just, there we go. And you can get them as as big as you want, but it's just such a fun, I love doing this kind of stuff. It's messy and it's just so much fun. Just, you know, your fingers may be a little stained for the rest of the day, but you know, who cares? Oh, and I got paint on my wall. Oh, I'm gonna have to wipe that off when I get done with this. I've got blue blue splatter all over my wall. All right. Okay, so now let's go ahead and attach our dragonfly. So it's going to look like so. Just really pretty. And then let's bring in our card base, and I think I just used snail to pop this up, or to attach this. Let me grab that. Come on, tape. It's not working with me this morning. So just center that onto the card. And I kind of smeared my dots. That's okay. All right, and then what I thought it would be nice to do is to put some Whisper White on the inside, but we're going to stamp one of the dragonflies. So I'm just going to move this off to the side. We are going to want to use this dragonfly right here. And then we can go ahead and get out our sentiment. So I did "To a Wonderful Friend." And then if you want, you know, these have greetings that you can put on the inside. So "To a Wonderful Friend," I could stamp "You Sure Know How to Make Someone Happy." You know, you can put that on the inside. I'm just going to leave it blank just in case I want to write. But let me go ahead and get a couple of blocks, and we'll stamp the dragonfly right here. Now with the dragonfly, at least mine, you do have to put quite a bit of pressure on it to make sure you get a good impression. So I definitely recommend using the Stampin' Pierce mat. Got too much stuff right here. I'm going to put my grid mat on here because I'm going to be stamping off. So I'm going to use Soft Sky for this. Make sure I've got good coverage. You're waiting on your tax return, Tammy? Oh my gosh, we just sent ours off on Monday, and I'm getting emails and voicemails from our CPA saying, can you call me? I need more information. So we have never waited this long. Okay, so I'm going to come right down here on the right. And so like I said, really, really, really make sure you put pressure on this. There we go. Because sometimes for me, when I haven't put a lot of pressure, it's the middle part of the dragonfly that doesn't stamp onto the paper. It's not anything wrong with the stamp, it's just me. So if you have that problem, you know, definitely get get your piercing mat out, and then just make sure you put pressure all over that that stamp, and I think you'll have good results. So now let's go ahead and put this on the inside. Move that out of the way. Okay, and that's just going to go right there. So it's going to look like that. All right, so let's finish our stamping. I have just a scrap piece of Soft Sky cardstock, and I'm going to ink up my sentiment using Dapper Denim. And like I said, I chose the "To a Wonderful Friend." And I don't know if I've given y'all this tip before, but if you ever have issues with getting your stamps straight on a block, I like to use the grid mat, and I'll line it up. I'll line the text up with the lines, and then I just pick it up with my block. And then I'm guaranteed that it's straight on the block. Now that won't necessarily mean I'll stamp it straight on the cardstock, but at least I've got half of it done. All right, so we're going to stamp like that. And I'm going to cut this down, and when I work with small pieces like this, I have a little tabletop trimmer that I use. It just makes it a lot easier for me to make sure that that I cut it right the first time. Sometimes using our Stampin' trimmer, I have a harder time controlling where it cuts. I just can't get it as straight, so I use this. So I'm using some contraband, I guess, but I'm not one of these anal sticklers that's like, it has to be all Stampin' Up. And so that is going to go right here. Let's see here. On my sample, I cut it a little bit longer. This one I didn't cut it as long, but I think we can still make it work. So we are going to pop this up on dimensionals. And then just to finish it off, I got some of our enamel dots. I chose the Subtles collection, and it looks like I used Peekaboo Peach. So I must have done Peekaboo Peach in this sample. I made this card quite a few weeks ago. So, but that's no problem because the Peekaboo Peach looks great with this. So the enamel dots, this is coming from our Subtles collection, and then this is from our In Colors. So you could do Soft Sky and Calypso Coral, you know, whatever. So that's the great thing with our colors. They coordinate so well that if it's not the exact color, you know, there's going to be a color close by that will match, you know, that will be very similar. I'm going to move this one down just a little bit. So just like that. And so that is today's project. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me move all this junk out of the way so you can get a better idea. And like I said, I will have the details up to subscribe to the April iStampin' box. This is unusually late to get it out, but I just was unsure with the retirement list how I was going to be able to get that coordinated, and it's still available, so I think I'm safe to go ahead and release that. Oh good, you like it, guys. Thank you so much. I thought I love doing these kind of techniques. You really can't screw this stuff up. Which for me, that's a good thing. If it's too technical, then I'm definitely going to mess it up. But anyway, I will have all the details of the iStampin' box up later today, and I would love for you to join for April. Like I said, the ladies that have done it really like it, and I think that's it. So, well, ladies, thank you so much for joining me this morning. And if you have any questions after we have, you know, signed off, feel free to ask away in the Facebook group, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions. All right, ladies, y'all have a great day. Bye.